Hello again, and welcome back to another round of coding with me, your host. So, as you saw in the title, I've changed my mind again. Not about the project itself, but about the approach I want to take for the project. So last time we started a new project using sveltekit, and we started with a setup for that project. We added Shatsian components, but then I thought for a second and I realized that it would be beneficial to have it's something that I had in mind for some time now, and it was finally the time to do it, which is having a starter template which I can update and just use for new projects, because I saw an interesting feature on GitHub and I wanted to try it out, which is let's just jump right into it. I think there is someone. Oh, okay, yeah. So you can see here in the settings there is this option for having a template repository, which, as you can see, lets user generate new repositories with the same directory structure and files, which is something that I would really like to have. And also it would be helpful, when starting new project, because I like the structure and it's something that I'm not planning on changing too much. So yeah, everything that we did last time and a couple of things more are here in this sveltekit starter repository, and we will just continue with adding more things today. So let's just have a quick look. So last time we added the first we did the svelte sv create, I think is the command for setting up a new project, and then we just added Shatsian and the Shatsian components that you are seeing right here. So these are things that are most likely to be used. I mean, of course, you can add more later, but yeah, this is the basic structure of, let's say, probably 99.9% of the time you'll need this stuff right here. So all of these are Shatsian components, except for a few things that were changed by me, which are this combo box right here. In the official Shatsian, let me just go over here. So if you take a look at the Shatsian components for the combo box, which is basically a text box and a select, and you can filter here in this text box, and then you can choose something from the drop down. In this official component right here, it's using popover and command for this, which is something that the author chose to do in order to maintain compatibility with the original Shatsian library. because this is a port of the Shadcn UI to Svelte. But the thing underneath, which is Bits UI, a set of headless components, which basically are just a wrapper around Melt UI. So it goes like this. Melt UI is a set of builders for components, which are what we call headless components, meaning that they don't have any styling whatsoever. They just provide the functionality for different things, like this accordion right here, as you can see. And because of the way these are constructed, you can see right here, these are called builders because you basically have a thing that builds your elements that you need to have for every component. Like in this case, the accordion has some elements for content, item, trigger, root, and these are basically directives that you can see that are passed to various HTML elements, and basically they are binded to that. In order to componentize your builders, you would need something like, for example, context to make sure that you pass data around the various children in that hierarchy. And this is what, let's take a look, for example, in this API reference. This is basically what Bits does, Bits UI. It's basically taking the melt builders and putting them in a nice to use structure, like so. And you can just, for example, call them like right here, accordion.root, .item, .header, and basically these are just the things that you see here as elements. And again, this is also unstyled, so just headless components. And this is what Shadcn it's using under the hood. And on top of that, you have the Shadcn styling with Tailwind. So you end up with something beautiful looking like this. And yeah, these, for the most part, these are all, let's say, raw Shadcn components with the styling that is, you can see right here, there is a Figma file, Figma UI kit open source by Pietro Skinaro, and it's a really beautiful looking toolkit, UI kit. I really enjoy this style, which is clean, modern, and minimal. And you end up with something like so, like this. But again, coming back to the point at hand, which is in Shadcn, the combo box is using the popover and command components, and you can see an example right here. So basically, the popover is triggering the command where you can just search. But there are a couple of limitations with this, like the fact that you can have basically multiple values selected. But Bits UI provides a combo box or combo box helpers, let's say, as well as they are built on top of Melt UI. And like so, I prefer using this, which for the most part is just wrapping the combo box stuff. The same way the select component is wrapped, you can see that for the most part they just mirrored this. It's just a few things that were added, like the input, and yeah. Sorry about that. For the most part, it looks the same as the select. Apart from this, I also like to have this link component right here, which isn't much. It's just it has a nice transition here. You can see when you hover it, basically it does this like unfortunately I didn't check lately to see if there was something done in this regard, but from what I remember, so you know, the classic link tag, an href, by default will be underlined when you hover over it, but you can't actually animate that underlining transition, so that's why I use this one. And as soon as we are gonna use this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Another thing added by me was this Lucide icon component, which is basically a wrapper. I know that in the documentation, if you take a look, so Lucide is the icons library that Shadsian uses, and also I really like the style, so let me just show this to you quickly. So if we go to lucide.dev, these are basically Lucide is the predecessor of Feather Icons. I think that the Feather Icons project was discontinued, and they just the good guys that maintain Lucide took it upon themselves to continue its legacy. And you can see here that you have almost 1600 icons, which is quite a huge library, and the design is really slick in my opinion. But the problem is that, for example, you'll see later in the project that if you want to, let's say, programmatically define an icon, like the case where I will be using this is, for example, there will be like a category entity, a category table in the database, and a row in that table can also have an icon associated with it. So in the database you can't store this, but you store the name of the icon, for example this bold icon right here. So you store this bold text right here, and with the help of this component you can just pass the name and it will find the reference from the Lucide Svelte icons. The problem is that the bundle size, it's probably gonna be pretty big, because you basically are importing all of the stuff from Lucide. I'm not sure if this was such a problem for the projects where I use this, but probably at some point I will take a look and make sure that everything works okay. You know, just check up. But yeah, in the meantime, I didn't give it much thought. I'm just using this and I'll see. And another thing that is added here is this page query filters. And there is another thing regarding pagination and filtering, querying and filtering for stuff that you have. So for collections of data, like let's say a table that you have, I found that this structure right here that you see is pretty common. And what you will see is that if there is a query, so we have a couple of parameters like queries and filters, which are booleans that indicate, and yeah, they are default set to true, that are indicated that for this component you have a query and you have filters. You display an input for search, which is really easy to do because the input being of type search and having just this submit, it just takes care of it for you, and it's just gonna basically when you submit, it's navigating to the same page with the query search param set of whatever value you chose to put in the input. And then the filters are a bit more dynamic, which you can see here. We have children for that, and basically you have just a button that pops up the filters underneath. At the right time you will also see this in action, but on the same side, because for the most part these will be server-side concerns. I also added this server-side pagination because I found myself using this a lot, and instead of just, you know, putting all of this in every page that I'm using, I just made a wrapper around it. And here you have so the pagination is derived by controls setting query params as well, like the page and size query params. We'll again probably take a look at some point over this one. And the last thing I did, which deviates a bit from what ChatCN has by default, is the calendar. So if we take a look at ChatCN, the calendar right here, so by default you can see that you only have this controls for next and previous month, which can be annoying sometimes, especially if you want to target a date that is way past the current date, so the calendar will always open up at the current date. And for example, if you have something like we are currently in May 2025, but if you want to select a date which is in 1999, you got some work to do. So that's why I also added a couple of selects for the month and the year right here, which may come in handy. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Everything else is just you know, the components that were added using the npx command from ChatCN add. So that's about it for this one. So now what I wanted to do for today was, first of all, adding some pages. And I briefly talked about last time about the structure, but we'll go over in more detail this time. And also start with the database schema. But probably first things first would be to just define the pages that, because this is a starter, of course, we will not have that much content on it, mostly probably just lorem ipsum. But one thing that I can say for sure is I want to replicate a certain structure for the homepage that I found to be really interesting. Okay. So let's start by adding a couple of things. So for the most part, when I think about having public facing pages, like something that you would see without being an authenticated user, you probably would have, most likely than not, a home page, an about page, a contact page, and I thought that for the most part you probably have also an FAQ page. So yeah, and besides that, for legal reason or whatnot, a terms and condition page and a privacy policy page. So basically these are the things that you most likely find on most of the websites, just probably in the case of one pager website where you just have the homepage and you have all the information that you need there. But other than that, probably you will be seeing these things that I mentioned. For that, we'll be starting with a couple of changes right here. So in our routes, we will add, let's say, probably start with our about page. So as I mentioned previously, I like to use route groups for this part. And I'm just adding this so you can see something. In the public, we'll also have this, which is our homepage. And for the moment, let's just put an H1 right here to see this about. And now, let me quickly on the console. Let's wait for this to open up. Now, if I navigate to about page, we have something, which is nice. Again, I touched a bit about this previously, but what you see here is a route group, which means, so sveltekit uses a file-based routing system, which means that every page or every Svelte component that is named plus page.svelte and is inside this structure right here is bound to be an actual route that you can navigate to. For this matter, it's important how you name your stuff in here. So because we have this directory right here with about, called about, this translates into us having this route available right here. But what you see in here, this special case with the directory name being surrounded by round braces is called a route group, which means that this part won't affect the navigation routing. So I don't need to go in here and go something like slash public, like so. Because if I do that, I'll get a 404. I just have it like so. And this is just something to have for, let's say, logical grouping for our stuff right here. Because one cool thing that you can do with this is having a layout for this route group, and this will mean that so having this route layout, this is something that all of our routes will be affected by. But another layout here in our public directory means that only the public routes will be affected by it. So I'm just thinking what to start with here. And probably the first thing I'm going to do is add this nifty layout that I was talking about to the public route. So that in here, amongst other things, we will have a navbar, for navigating, so you can be able to see all the links that are available. And yeah, we need to add our render snippet right here. And for this needs to come from our layout props. Oh, and I need to call this like so. And now this is good. And in case you're wondering what this does, it's basically you have this in all of the components, but in this case it's something special. In case of a component, like I probably showed you let's say this one, page query filters. So if I import this and I just go, oops, after I will import this component and I will actually call it like so. Whatever I happen to be typing in here, this will go and will be rendered here. This is basically the children that we have right here. In case of a layout, the children means the content of the actual page that the layout is affecting. So you can see in our root layout that we don't have much in here. We only have a couple of things for the toaster and the mode watcher. The toaster for alerts and mode watcher for triggering between light and dark mode. But in here we'll have a couple of things. And for what I'm gonna be doing next, I will need to add a couple of things which are here in our utils. I will add a I'll add a constants file, and here I will export a constant which will say sveltekit starter. Oh, and yeah, of course, this has to be a const. Great. In our index, I'll need to export from constants. And I'll make a change a bit later, but for now, what I wanted to do is to make sure that I have set the title for the page. And the way we can do that is using this sveltekit element, which basically means that everything that or all the pages that are affected by this layout will set the title in here in our case. I don't want this, but actually I want the process one. It doesn't understand me, and I will have the up name right here. So now probably if you catch the app refreshing, so now we have our name here instead of just having this localhost 5000. So now it's looking a bit better, but I think that this is not necessarily enough, because you actually want to have something different for each page. So for that matter, what I want to do is create in our lib I want to introduce a construct in which we will be using Svelte 5 states for this part. And you know what? Probably I will just have just pages like so. And here I want to define a class, because in order to be able to work with Svelte 5 state, it's recommended, especially if it's something like this where you pass data around components, work with classes. This is a really nice thing, some call the superpower. I think there are a couple of videos from JF Code that talks about this, which is interesting. There won't be much for us right now here. I just want to have a title, which will be state variable that will be a string, which basically on every page we will just update this state with a title that will be set in there. And another thing that I would like to have here is a header, which can be optional, and this will be a snippet, and we will have it like so, of undefined. Now we will export. Yes, thank you. this nifty thing right here. And now with that, I can just export this. Oh, this needs to be pages.svelte. And now what I can do is come back here in our layout. Import this, but it will be done automatically. So here I will have the public pages state, the title. If we have this, because we need to treat this case where we actually don't have this. If we have it, we will be displaying this. Else we display nothing. And what I usually like to have on websites is this divider right here, which you won't be able to see until I set some values. So in my about page, if I go and add a script tag, and now I set this. You can see it right here. So this is a structure I like, where you have the page in the title, or whatever construct is relevant, the title of that page, and then the name of the application with this neat divider. But in case you are not setting that, you just get the app name. Let's make sure that on our page right here, let's also use our app name right here, and yeah, so thank you. Nice. Now, the next thing that I probably want to do is just make sure that we have our let's call them layout components, which in our case, let's go into components, layout dot actually slash let's call them public nav bar. For the moment, let's just put something in here. Let's have a public footer, other component, and for that we'll be actually using this one, and Let's just quickly put something like... I forgot what the code was for the copy. Let me just quickly find it. Oh, fair enough. One person copy. Here we will have our app name, copyright, and the year. And let's make sure that we actually export this component. Yep, like so. I'm not sure why my keyboard is not triggering the escape key when I press it. I have to hit it multiple times. I'm using Vim bindings. Not necessarily, let's say, a Vim wizard, but I use the Vim bindings in VS Code, and because the escape key is not always triggered in first try, I have this command "W" for writing to the file, and I need to be in normal mode, not in insert mode, and sometimes it happens to not work properly. But what can you do? Now, with these out of the way, I can close this stuff right here. And in our layout, what I will do is make sure to actually wrap this thing right here. Wrap it in a div. You'll see in a moment why. Here I will have my public navbar at the top. Why didn't you import that? Okay. My public footer right here. Make sure to import this one. And voila. It's now working. But you can see that the footer is looking is sitting dangerously close to this the content, because it doesn't stretches out to the page, and we can fix this. But first, after we have let's just wrap this one into a main, because this is our main content. And after the public navbar, I just want to have a quick snippet. If I have public pages states that header, so if we have a header snippet in one of our pages, let's make sure that we add this right here in order to maintain this layout. And I will just have a header like so. And here I will render the snippet. Cool. And I'll show you why I like to do this. Let me just quickly go to this nifty little site called Undraw, which has really amazing illustrations. I really like those. Let me disable the dark mode because it's not playing that nicely. And I don't know, let's search for app. This looks nicely. I'll probably use this one, but first what I want to do, they have this this interesting feature right here where you can change the color of some highlights in the illustration so that it matches your skin color. And in our case, I just went and for this one I went ahead and chose the default, one of the defaults here. If I go to themes, I actually chose zinc, but now that I'm thinking about it, do I want something to pop out like blue perhaps? Because I really enjoy this zinc right here, but the problem is that on the dark mode you don't actually have that color. It's just, you know, it becomes the opposite of that. Maybe I want to use this blue. I think I will do that. Let's just quickly see what we have to update here, which will be some... Do I want to do this? Probably. So I will just go like so. And we have a fully white background. The foreground is a bit different. And you can see that besides the muted, which is almost the same, we just have this B40, the 5, and yeah, this is also a bit different. This is 16, and this is more like close to 47. I'll just copy this foreground. And you can see that I'm using it quite extensively here. So I will copy this, and yeah, this is the one. I'm curious if the ring uses the same thing. It's a bit different, but I think we can go with this. just quickly go and replace this one. But okay, so we have background and foreground. The card and popover are the same. The border, input, and ring are a bit different. Yeah, they are quite different. They have quite different values. So I will just go ahead and update those. And we have the 91 here. Here we have this one. And now our primary, secondary, and accent color are different as well. But firstly, I wanted to make sure that I update the sidebar, because for some reason this theme right here doesn't include that. And I'm wondering if we have anything about theming in here on the sidebar, because I want to match. Can't seem to find it. Wait. Oh, it's here up top. So I'm guessing that this matches the default theme, if I'm being correct. Yep. Seems like so. Which is this one. And you can see that besides the default theme, so a few things are changed here. So the background and foreground seem to be different shades for our sidebar, in order to pop out a little bit. The primary is the same color and the accent is the same as the accent. The border and ring, I think, are also different. Yeah. Again, just to pop out a little bit. But I'm guessing we can leave these as they are. And just update the primary and the accent with what we have in here. Secondary and accent are the same, which is not something that I necessarily like. Because why have two things that represent the same thing? But yeah. Let's just have another look at this theme. I have a feeling that this is probably a Delwyn Blue 500. Let's just go in here and see. Not actually 500. Maybe 600? No. In almost, but not quite. This is a bit weird. Let's say 400. No. Yeah, whatever. I think I will just go with secondary color of a lighter blue. I don't know. Let's say blue 300. Yeah, it's pretty good to me. This will be our secondary color, and I feel like this is a pretty dark shade. It should work out. Okay, so let's actually use this thing right here. And accent, sorry, going to be this one. Okay. Yeah. This part is a bit boring, but we'll get through it. I don't know why I didn't thought about this earlier. No, just make sure that I have these ready off stream, but yeah, stuff happens. Just as a comparison, so the background in the dark state is basically the foreground in the light one, or on the dark mode is basically the foreground on the light mode. But the foreground seems to be something that pops out a bit. Okay, so we have quite different values for this one. Let's just move this right here and update everything accordingly. Actually, it's quite interesting. They seem to be matching for the most part. Oh, so I think that the secondary I'll need to copy from above, but let's make sure that we finish with this first. Almost there. The card and the popover, I think they match. Yep, nice. Background, foreground, nice. Can copy this accent right from the theme. Just edit it. And yeah, also the primary. But the secondary I will take it from here. And hopefully, oh, and also the sidebar needs to be updated, right? Right. Let's see. 48. Good. And I feel like their values are a bit dimmed, so the hues in the sidebar colors are a bit dimmed from what you actually have here on this primary and accent. This is clear on the background and foreground. I also think that the accent and primary are a bit different, but that's okay. It will pop out just fine. And wait. Seems to be a small error. I feel like probably I left this, yep, out of the way. If we take a look at our app right now, no errors, that's good. And done it. We've got through the tedious part, which is nice. Now, let's actually update this layout a bit. I'll use a grid display for this one. Oh, yeah, I forgot where I actually started that. It was here to add some content to the page, which means I should take my color, my primary color right here. And let me just check. I think there was a theming. Okay. I can only go from hex to HSL. Sucks. Another thing that I find myself using pretty often when working with colors is this coolers.co website, which is nice. So let's just input this quickly, like so. And Azure, or I heard someone pronouncing it Azure color is what we actually have. Oh, so I think that they are actually using the blue in the color in the theme. No, I thought it was sky. Yes, they called it Azure. Sorry. Now I really have no idea where this is coming from. I thought that they probably use Tailwind colors, but maybe this is just something to do with the conversion right here from the color schemes. I'm just gonna copy this, go here into Andra, and why do I have a green? Because I need to be on this speaker. Yep, that's more like it. Okay, so I'm leaning between this one and this one. This seems nicer. So let's download this SVG. Let's move it our static directory. And now we have it in here. Okay. If I go to my public page, I want to have a snippet right here. Which I will have this nifty H1 and also an image. And with this one, nice and clean, we have our homepage layout right here. What I would like to do is, because I usually have this layout that I use for the header of the pages, if I have a header on the public pages, which is having some text on the side and another one on the other side, what I will do is in my layout. So first of all, for our main layout, or let's say HTML layout that we have here, I want to make sure, because if I take a look here, you can see that this div right here is actually content height. So its height, it's determined by content, but no matter what, I want to make sure that this is actually, yeah, this one right here, min age screen, which means that this will be 100% of the viewport all the time. And also, yeah, this one right here, but with a small twist. So I don't want to have it like so. What I want to do is to have a conditional right here. So let me copy this. And so if I have public pages state dot header, so if I have a header, let's see, I want to have a layout like so. Come on. It's not working. Basically what this does is, because we have our display grid, is actually allocating rows for the content inside. We will have, so assuming the case that we have the header, right? We have, you can basically think of this like one element, because we will have just one thing in here. It should be a nav. So we have one element here, one element here, another one here, and the fourth one here, which should be a footer. And it will distribute those. So these two right here the one at the top and the one at the bottom will take height of auto, which means they will be distributed based on their contents. But the other ones will be distributed with this 1FR. They will take as much space as they need to fill in. It's basically the same thing if we don't have the header, which means that just this main right here will be distributed like so. And if we take a look, you can see right here that we have our footer at the bottom. I think that probably... Oh, so because I actually have both the header and the main as one FR, it means that they basically share the same space. So I think that I want this one, the header, to also be auto, like so. And now it looks much better. If I go to about, we have a small issue. What's this about? Okay, nice. It's working. So it takes some time. Let me just make sure. Okay, I think I know what's happening. If you see here, when I navigate from the home, where I have the header, to the about, this header right here, it's lingering a bit on this page. I think that this is because here I actually need to be setting this to undefined myself. This happened to me previously. Okay, this is really weird. I think what is happening is that this page state right here is basically controlled on the client. And setting it like so means that whenever this is server rendered, it doesn't know about the state that needs to be in, which is a bit annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we'll see. Let's just go forward first and handle this header right here. What I want to do is just have a read, and on the MD I will have columns like so, with items being centered, probably a gap between them. This is not something, so the gap is not necessarily meaningful here. It will become evident only when we have something like more text in here. But if I go into a mobile view, here you'll be able to see it. And what I usually like to do is to manually set the height of this header. So that I know that the header plus the navbar is taking up almost the entire screen, which for me usually it works by setting a mean height of 90 VH on this one. We don't have anything in the navigation yet, that's why you see this like so, but yeah, you'll see what I mean when I get there. And just a couple of things here. What I want to do is make sure that this has a container class, also a grid with some gap between the sections. What I found to be working nice is gap of 24, the smaller size screen, gap of, let's say, 28 for a mid screen, and for a large one, a gap of 36. And maybe also some margin top to go nicely with these gaps. No, to have some space between both the navbar, if we have one, and also the header. Basically the same value, but for the margin top. And we'll be adding some content soon to this one, so you'll see what we have in here. And probably I want to add a container to the header itself as well. Yeah, that's more like it. Good. Now let's add something to our navbar right here. So usually I like to style the navbar with a primary color. Let's just add some padding. And because we will basically be having two layouts, one for the mobile and one for the desktop, I want to set up some snippets first for the links that we will be using. Should I add the pages now? Nah, I think I will do it a bit later. So first I will have a snippet for the links themselves, because you'll see the end result. I usually have a structure where I have the navbar on the desktop, a logo, the links, some actions, and a toggle for the theme. On mobile, you only have the logo, the classic hamburger menu, and that pops up a sidebar which has the links at the top and actions at the bottom. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. First, let's just see. Okay, yeah. So I want this indeed from the UI. But I actually don't want to this one. We want to use lead components UI. For the moment, I will add just the home and the about. And here we have this href right here. As far as the action goes, probably depends on the use case, but for the most part, I have something like, so we need here a prop. Props, we will be getting an authenticated value. For the moment, we will just probably hard code it when we actually use it, but when we will actually implement authentication, we will be setting a value for that. And let's just name it is authenticated, and this will be a boolean, just so it's a bit more clearer. And we will actually having an if else right here. So okay, let's take this and update it. So in case the user is not authenticated, we'll have a sign in and sign up action. It depends on the use case, because based on the app flow, you usually want your call to action to be something that expects the user to have some kind of interaction. What I'm trying to say is that, for example, if you have one example that I recently came to my mind is, let's say, a booking service. you probably want to have an action right here instead of, let's say, sign up, which should be the one that pops out a little bit more, is let's say something like book now, and you want to probably have a happy flow path for the user where he can actually do something before needing more information. Like let's say you do like a booking with a not unknown, but like let's say with a how should I call it, like a guest user or something like that, a dummy user or whatever, and only after the booking is done by the user, you can just tell the user to, you know, create an account to make sure that you match that. So not necessarily pay for that booking or something, but put it in like a pending state or some sort of stuff, so that the user feels like it did something, you know. Hopefully that makes sense. Here I need to make sure I specify the language. Yes, thank you very much. And in here, this will be dashboard. If you are an authenticated user, here should be an action that redirects you to the dashboard, and here for sign out. But instead of it being a link, this will actually need to be a form, because we will have an action for the sign out, which we'll be implementing later. It's just now I'm adding the code for this because I know what I will want to have. This will be sign out action, and of course method post, and in here I want to have, yep, this one, form dot button. I don't need all of this for the moment. I'll see how this looks like. Okay. And the last thing, the last snippet, is a theme button, which I can actually just go and copy paste from here somewhere. I know. Okay, yeah, this one, dark mode and svelte. And we have this nice toggler right here. I don't necessarily need the drop down. I could do that. Not sure. Maybe have this. Nah, complicated. Let's just use this simple button right here. We don't need to go to that. So import this from here, this from Lucide, this toggle mode from Mode Watcher, and this should be all that we need for now, all the snippets. Now let's actually put them together. So in here, I will have a div parent which will put all of the things that we have, and this will have a container class, be a flex suite, item center, and I don't get my Tailwind IntelliSense, which sucks a bit, but and basically here we'll have an href for what can be the logo. In our case, it will just be the app name. Thank you. Then another div. Which this one will be hidden by default, but on MD we will have display of flex, and I can just add this gap on MD, but it's not necessarily, since it will be hidden, it will not have anything on it, and it will just have this gap right here, and this will have a div with our links, another div with our actions, and this Steam button right here, and but I think that this needs to be closed. Do I need a div for this? I don't think so. Let's just put it like so in here. And in here I will have this little icon called square menu. Let's see that. I want some flex for these guys right here, and also for these right here. And yeah, we have an error right here, because this needs to have a value, and we'll just hard code it to false for now. And now if you take a look at this beautiful navigation, which actually looks ugly because we don't have our, you can see the links right here properly, because they basically using the default styling, they are also primary color, and you will not be able to see those, but we can fix that. Let's say first, for the links, let's put a variant of accent and see how that looks like. Nice. Okay, and here's what I was talking about with the link. You can see this animation right here, and hopefully it has enough contrast. If you make it fully white, yeah, will not get 100%, but this works in that case. This will be also an accent. Our sign out. And these don't need to be links, but actually I want them to be buttons. The sign in will be accent, and in order, so basically this sign up button right here will be our call to action. Sorry about that. This actually needs to pop out a bit, so we'll use the secondary for that, as well as for this dashboard. And now if we save, splendid. That looks pretty nicely. And the toggler works. Oh. Yeah, that's something that it does in this theme, but I don't like. I don't like this accent to be like so. I think I will just make sure to put it, to set it properly. One thing that I want to check out, yeah, the secondary has enough contrast. This one, of course, it doesn't. It will fix it. So for our logo right here, we'll make sure to set the text to accent as well. Nice. So because this is an outline variant, it will go to primary, but I want this one to actually be outline accent as well, which means you can see much of it, but it's enough. And what I want to do here is go back to the colors. Make sure that our dark accent matches what we have on our light accent. And we'll do that. Do the same for the bar, sidebar. This one will be used later when we actually build the dashboard for this. And now it looks nicely. This will stay like so because the outline actually has a background of the foreground. Sorry. A background of the background, which in our case, because we have this dark theme, is actually this color right here. But yeah, this looks much better. Also, let's update this footer right here. So I think what we'll need to do is to add more pages, and when we'll do that, we will just update the links right here. can see this smooth little animation that I like here for the links. Let's take a look. So the footer, how should I this? Let me think. Probably something like so I will give it again a primary BG, a text accent, even though I will not be having any social links. Probably I will just add some from Neobit solutions for this. So a common footer structure is to have a 3-column footer, where on one you have the name and the copyright and maybe some stuff there. In the middle you have your links for something like privacy policy, terms and conditions, and so on. And on the third column you have the social links. Yeah, I drew a blank there, sorry about that. So let's put a padding for this on top and bottom. And now let's actually, so again, as I said, this will be a 3-column layout. You know what? I think I will actually take this. This is a good suggestion. Do I want this to be a link though? Nah. This is just as good. Maybe this can be actually something like an H3. Oh, oops. And you can actually have another paragraph if you want to say something here. Let's say lorem ipsum here. I don't want the container. Let me just copy this. The container will be here, and this will actually, I'll keep the gap. This will be a grid. And I will have, 3 columns on MD or above. Read equals 3. Okay. In here, not container, I don't need this. But actually, you know what? I don't need anything in here. Here, I want to have some links. Will probably be Again, variant accent. And as I mentioned before, this will be something like terms, terms and conditions. Another one for privacy policy. And one for contact. Nice. And let's just see how a grid will look like for this. And now a div in here with a flex, items center, gap 4. And I will actually, I think I will copy some links from BitTorrents. Let me just quickly check for that. So in here, I should find footer. Okay. I found a nice icon pack for social icons, which is this one right here. So Lucida doesn't actually come with logos, icon logos, for various stuff like companies. And this is something that for the most part matches closely to the same style. So I like to use this, and you can see here you have a lot of things, including video games like stuff like that. You can see creative software. So yeah, this is really cool icon pack, and I've been using this one. And how I do this, because I don't want to necessarily save those, maybe I probably should if I'm thinking about it, but probably, you know what, it's not worth necessarily the trouble. It just because you can, in here you can just come and copy paste the SVG code, and just like that, it's nice and easy. And now with all this right here, let's take a look, and voila, this is the footer, which doesn't look too good for some reason. Oh, this one needs to be an accent right here. And now you can see something. These are a bit too many. Okay, and I don't like the fact that these extend too much. So I'm thinking that first here I'll probably need to use flex column layout. Okay. Not necessarily this, but okay. I remember now. The trick is to wrap this in divs, which is not necessarily the most clean stuff, but I'm wondering now if this is a read. Okay. I'm wondering, okay, so probably move some of those at some point. I can't remember what was, because I don't like this being right here, so I'd like this to be centered, you know, to have a nice layout. And justify self. Okay, so justify self. Here. Yeah, that's more like it. You know what? Maybe just leave it like so. Should I do a bit of marketing right here? And yeah, this is the basic layout for this part right here, and you can see that it starts to look like something. Well, I think it's time for a short break. So I'll see you soon. we're back. Let's just quickly add some content in here to have something to look at. So, and actually, I think that probably I will just add the necessary pages first. Now, just to get this out of the way. And it will something like in the public crowd. We'll have contact page. Where we will have a contact form. Also, it would be nice to have an FAQ page. And as you probably saw on the footer, also have a privacy policy page. And terms and conditions page. But for all of these, we will also need to add the necessary headers. So I'll just copy and paste this script right here. Quickly go over it. And just have it like so. And just modify the title here. And quickly, let's just update the navbar. With the last two links that we have, which are FAQ and contact. And now, any more? Now we have all of these. Working nicely. Good. Now, for some actual content on the pages, I think that I will do the home page, maybe a form on the contact page, something on the FAQ, because I think I'll probably use an accordion for that, which is something that I will need to add because I forgot to do it from the Chatien. But other than that, probably I will just fill the rest off stream with some lorem ipsum, or I'll see. So regarding the homepage, I watched an interesting video talking about an interesting structure, a nice structure for a homepage that basically is meant to, maximize the engagement with the user that is visiting the page. And there are a few things mentioned, like how to structure your section. So you need to have certain, strategic sections on your homepage in order to drive engagement. The first one, of course, being this landing screen, which I made so that it takes the full screen of a user. It's actually landing on this section. And in here, usually what you will have, I go with this illustration, but the recommended thing is to have like a picture of a user using your product and of course being happy with it. Whatever you, for example, if you sell shoes, with user, let's say, unpacking a box of your shoes, which drives a point. Also, not so long, but snappy, something that tells the user, like this headline right here should be meant to explain the user in a few words what is it that you're doing, and after that a short paragraph explaining with a bit more details, and of course a call to action. So that's what we will have here. We will add it ourselves. So in our case, not sure exactly what I want to put here. I'm thinking that I want to actually explain something on this project, since it will probably be live. Oh, actually it is. Yeah, why not? Let's just put that in here. And let's see, like, it's okay, welcome to starter. Something like that. Also, let's not forget our button. Which will be our main call to action. And for the moment, it's not gonna do anything. Maybe in this case, probably should be good to just refer the user to the GitHub page of the repository. But usually what I will do here is just have so usually I make these apps like PWAs where you can install them on your device, and with that this call to action usually tries to install the app. There is a small catch that we will go over when we will add this, but if it can't do that, it just navigates to the dashboard, and of course navigating to the dashboard, sorry about that, means that if you don't have an account, you'll just get redirected to sign in. So I'm thinking, yeah, for the moment I can just put an href right here. And let me just copy paste this link right here and make sure we have target blank in here. Nice. Okay, probably be good to have some space between them. This is the first thing for the first explanation that it came through my mind, but I'm not sure why there is this. So it seems like you can see a border here. Where does that come from? Seems like it would be coming from the H2. Oh, border bottom. Okay. Okay, I think this is something from the Shetzian typography. Yeah. I mean, I don't dislike it. Actually, okay. But do I want that to be the default for everything? I think not. So because of that, I'm sorry, just have to go. Let's see, border bottom. Also, with this, don't need a padding bottom. So yeah, I need these transition colors. I don't think so. Yeah, basically you just need the typography stuff. This should be good. So yeah, it looks nice. Not sure. I want this button to be, this call to action to look like this. Probably I should just go and do the old trick, wrapping the stuff inside the div. That takes the proper length. Yeah, probably I will modify this a little bit later. So now that we have our header for the homepage, the next thing is to actually add some content to the pages, which are the page itself, the homepage. Which will consist of some sections that we will have. And the idea here is that the first section in that guide that I saw, and that is the structure that I like to follow, is to have a problem solution section, which means you open with a statement like where you introduce a problem that your whatever the product is supposed to be solving. You agitate with some examples, and then you offer the solution, which is this product right here. So we can do something like, you know what? I thought of filling this with some lorem ipsum text, but just for the sake of it, probably I will just do some whatever stuff that comes to my mind, and I will actually update it with some useful content later. So, what is the problem? The problem is that you want to make something and you don't know where to start. So and let's make that his primary color. And this should be the solution. Oh no, actually the section where you agitate with some example. Like, let me think of something. Okay, I will take whatever it's giving to me. And this will actually be the solution to our problem. And this one, I want to make sure that it's a bit more visible. Okay. And another interesting thing that was mentioned in that study about the, let's call it the perfect homepage, is that usually on this section is good to at least have a photo again of a happy user, or if you can have a demonstrative video for your project, that would be even better, or actually your product or whatever this is. But we will just take another, I think we use this one, so this time we will just download this. And here, let me just this nicely. Okay. And the last thing that I forgot to do is to make sure that our section is a grid container with the columns. Like so. Nice. Oh, and also I probably so I'm wondering, okay, I see that. So 90 VH it's not 100% there. So you can see that this header tends to up until this point right here. The main should have a margin top, but probably what we currently have is a bit too much. What about removing? What? Oh, another gap margin. This one. Okay, so the 20 seems good. Okay, so what I need to do is go to the, not here, actually in the layout. Yeah. So I'll copy this for the footer, because the footer also, sorry about that, needs some margin top. So this, and this needs to be deleted. We come back, this and this margin top needs to be deleted. And now it looks much better. Nice. Okay, the next section that I want to add is the benefit section, where you actually tell the user why, let's say, why it should use your product. What would be the benefits of that? You know, talking to that emotional side. So something like so. Again, we can copy this just that we don't need the item center and the grid calls. Okay. And in here we'll have a div. Oh, I'm just thinking. Okay, I'll just take this. Nice, without the great community. I mean, hopefully we'll get there. But yeah, it's use fully customizable build with best practices in mind. I'll take that. One thing that I want to do here is just that these divs, I probably want to have them as cards. Oh, and it did this for me, so I don't need this one in that case, but I also actually want to have this like so, with a gap of 6 between them. Yeah, much better. They actually want to use cards for this. So you can see I have a card header with a title and description. Probably no, it will be the content. Let me just quickly copy this. So don't need a footer. Let's see how this one looks like. Okay, nice. Actually, I won't wrap this into a paragraph since I have this content. Oh, and yeah, don't need that. Was wondering why it's so small. Let's put this right here. Like so. And on the dark theme looks good as well. It's just that I would probably like to have some icons here. Let's go to Lucide. And if no, so ending for E. What would be representative for easy? Would I use something easy to use? Yeah, chevrons up looks good. Okay. Yeah. This looks nice. And I will probably just copy paste this. Change the text in here. Here. Now for the icons, for the fully customizable something like cog settings. Yeah, looks nice. Best practices, something like a she. Yeah, shield check. Nice. Okay. That's nice. Now, the next section would be something like testimonials. You know what? I think I will just copy paste this. Oh, I forgot. To also have a text primary for this. And just have like 2 of them. This one, probably instead of having a header, we use like a footer. Okay, let's take the footer right here and just have some a name to that code. Okay, can just something like that. Okay, this looks good. And the last, or not the last, there is one more after this. The next section would be a section about the features. So previously, you had the section about the benefits. Why should one use it? Now you tell about what the user can expect. I think I will just copy paste this section right here. But in my case, I think that probably instead of features, because it has, or it will have some features like, I don't know, authentication, email sending, and so on. Should I put this? But we will just have simple card titles for this one. If I say something like so, it will fit some context for so that GitHub Copilot knows what I want here. What are some other features? Okay, there are quite a few things here. I'll probably need to take some time to consider. I'm not sure what to put right now. Forms handling, something like that. Yeah, something like that. I will think for more of this later. And now for the grand final, the last section would be just a duplication of the call to action. Which is just, to have a way to reinforce the user to just use your thing. Something like that. Okay. Now, for the other pages, I'm thinking that probably I will do something from the FAQ page. Since for this one, I actually want to use an accordion. So first of all, I'll need, I think is next Shetzian or Shetzian next. Shetzian's next. Okay, looks good. This one as well. Bigger. Let's just export the accordion. And now can come to this FAQ page and have a header, but let's just spell this out. Let's sure that this is also primary. This one, some spacing between them. And now, going back to Shetzian, I'd just like to copy this accordion from here make sure to import it. Also, ours will actually be a multiple selection accordion. You will be able to open multiple one. And instead of items, we will have here questions. I was hoping that maybe Copilot would give me some suggestions. But not necessarily. Okay, I'll just leave it like that for the moment. And probably I will come up with something better afterwards. The last thing that I want to do is in here to add something like a pointer to the contacts page. No, because it's something customary to do when you are on an FAQ page and you have questions that are not answered there. You'll probably just contact the owner. So here we'll have a button. Yeah, take that without this variant, because this is the default. And quick look. Something. Oh, yeah. I actually need to start the dev server. Okay. One thing that to make sure I do is to center these so nope, not that. Well, it's okay. one thing that maybe we can set the title, same thing. Looks good. And I think that the final thing for today would be maybe to add a contact form. But for that, first of all, even if we add it, it won't be working, because in order to have an action for that one, we need a database setup. Second of all, I would be needing to add the CAPTCHA validation, which, to be honest, I don't feel like doing it right now. So yeah, I think we will just end it here today. I will add some more content off stream for this one. What left here to do is something, of course, with the help of either Copilot or actual LLM, to have something a little bit nicer than Lorem Ipsum here for the content, both for the home, for the above, for the FAQ, and for the other ones. And probably next time we will be actually implementing the contact form together, and then go ahead with the logic for the authentication. So that being said, thanks for watching. I will make sure to provide the link to the starter repository in the chat, in case you want to take a look. You can do that. And yeah, with that said, hopefully tomorrow I will continue working on this. I was really hoping that maybe this weekend I could, finish the starter part for this one. And probably I didn't mention this at the start of the video, or even if I mentioned it was briefly. So my plan for this is to have this starter kit and continue the Expensio project, the expense tracker that we started last time. It's just that we will just base that on the starter kit. So yeah, instead of just doing that over there, having it in one central place, it would be much nicer. So yeah, after we finish with the starter kit, which hopefully it would be this weekend, we will start with the functionality for the expense tracker. So yeah, that's the plan for the moment. Hope you are having great day, evening, whatever it is where you're watching this. And I also hope to see you next time. Bye bye.